So let's move on to our next equally interesting session, which talks about leading the way, young leaders shaping Indian realty. Let me introduce our panel members. Our session is moderated by Mr. Ramesh Nair. He's the real estate expert and former CEO of JLL India. Ramesh Nair has hands-on professional expertise in most facets of the real estate business across asset classes, advising many domestic and multinational owners, occupiers, and investors across cities. So he is the most experienced and the veteran of the industry that we have here today. And he will be talking to some of the young guns of the real estate industry. Let me now introduce our expert panel in an alphabetical order. Our first speaker, I introduce Mr. Anshul Singhal. He is the Managing Director of Welspun One Logistics Parks. Anshul Singhal has over 15 years of leadership experience in the infrastructure and real estate sector with a track record of establishing 5 new businesses from the ground up for 3 large corporates. He is also a member of Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, which is RICS. Our next eminent panel member is Ms. Vinita Dalal, Head of Fundraising at Rustomjee Group. She has also spearheaded and forged key strategic tie-ups for the group, namely with IKEA for fully furnished homes and with Keppel Land as a strategic partner in the MMR region. She is also in charge of the group's insurance properties portfolio, and she is an active member of the CREDAI National and CREDAI Youth Wing, and also CREDAI MCHI Women's Wing. Our next panel member with us today is Mr. Ram Raheja, Director, S. Raheja Realty. Ram Raheja is the Director and Head Director of Design at S. Raheja Realty, and he's the third generation developer from the family, bringing a modernized approach to the products. He has pursued architecture at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, and he brings his architectural sensibilities to all his projects. Our next panel member is Mr. Sudarshan Lodha, co-founder Strata. Sudarshan Lodha leads this tech-enabled fractional real estate investment platform and envisions to offer commercial real estate as an investment class accessible to everyone. Sudarshan, with over a decade of experience, was closely involved in several PE and VC transactions, representing over 41.4 billion in investments. Our final session member is Uddhav Poddar, Managing Director, Bhumika Realty. An entrepreneur having managed business spanning various industries, Uddhav Poddar is skilled in negotiation, business planning, strategic planning, and business development. He is the area director for Entrepreneurs Organization, South Asia region. He's the founder member, Shopping Center Association of India, and member of North India Committee and national co-chairman, ASSOCHAM, National Council Ease of Doing Business and Economic Affairs. So this was our power pack panel that I just introduced. I hand it over to our moderator of the session, Mr. Ramesh Nair. Please take over the conversation.
Thanks, Sapna. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
So good afternoon, friends. Thanks for your attention today afternoon. My name is Ramesh and I'll be serving as your moderator today. As usual, you would have seen that Realty Plus has lined up a fantastic set of speakers for all the sessions today afternoon, including this panel. It's my privilege to be moderating this panel. Firstly, I would like to welcome all the panelists for this session and kind of sparing their time. All big achievers in our industry. Also, a disclaimer. I'm a moderator and I'm not below 40. Our panelists are young super achievers and all of them are below 40. So one of my friends asked me yesterday when seeing those advertisements of Realty Plus, when did you start claiming you're below 40? So I'm not below 40. So our effort is to provide you with a timely topic with great, interesting speakers. And this topic can't be more timely, which is young leaders shaping our Indian reality. Today we'll try and focus on this conversation around how leaders are experimenting, how they're repositioning their businesses in these uncertain times. So Anshul, let me start with you. It'd be great to hear from you the one pressing issue of your industry. You're a big player in the warehousing and logistics space. What's that one pressing issue in your sector?
Thank you, Ramesh. Firstly, it's really nice to see you. It's been just to complete your comment. You are always so maybe in terms of age, but in terms. Hello.
We just heard you, Anshul. Yeah, now it's audible.
Okay, fine. No, Ramesh. So just to answer the question quickly, the biggest challenge at the moment in warehousing is the increase in steel prices of late that is happening, and I think that's a problem across the development industry, because in warehousing, it's a very sensitive business to construction cost and land cost. Unlike prime real estate, our land cost is about 30 to 35% of our development cost, and about 60 to 70% of our development cost is construction cost. And out of that 70%, 75% of that is steel, right? Because all our buildings are made in steel, the pre-engineered buildings are made in steel, everything is in steel. So basically an increase in steel prices aggregates bitumen has it's been a very challenging issue over the last few months currently.
Thanks, Anshul. Binita, your take on that one pressing issue?
Ramesh, firstly, I always thought, you're less than 40 because you've always been that force of being the young voice for all of us in the industry. But that apart, I'm going to break this up in two parts. One is short term and one is long term. I think in the short term, the effect of this pandemic in terms of increase in pricing and in terms of the delay in timelines is something that's affecting all of us. I think in the long term, what's definitely something that is going to impact or change all of us is the ability to react to the changes that this pandemic is going to bring about in all of our industries. I think that's something that we need to kind of work on today in terms of making our organizations agile to the coming changes that will come after this pandemic. So these are the two things that I feel it will impact, or pressing issues that I have currently.
Very well said, Binita. Ram, you want to add to that?
Sure. Hi. How's it going, everyone? Nice seeing you again, Ramesh. So coming to the issues pressing us currently, there are several. As any developer you would talk to would sit with a whole list. But two of the points that are very close and I feel need immediate action. One definitely is the number of clearances that are required in our space, because I'm majorly into luxury redevelopment. Just as a simple thing is between an IOD and a CC, we need to get a minimum of 22 NOCs from 22 different departments. So just the amount of time that we spend just liaising between departments can definitely be cut short. So according to me, that's one major issue that can be addressed. And in the redevelopment space, GST is a war that our entire MCH has also been fighting because it's a double taxation problem. So those are the two issues that I think definitely can be addressed and which will make our lives much easier.
Thanks, Ram. Sudarshan?
Thank you, Ramesh. Our business, being an asset management and a wealth management company, is a balance between both demand and supply. And obviously, both of us has its own challenges. From the demand side, our first pressing issue is, we're educating investors and the lack of knowledge generally in and around CRE investments in general, nuances, how it works. The fact that real estate can be bought digitally itself, these are things which we're solving for. So, our company, if you call, we are first an education tech company, making people understand each and everything, and then going to the wealth management side or the asset management side. On the supply side, unfortunately, we are a digital company in a sector which is traditionally operating very offline. So it's going to take some time for sellers, developers to be on the same footing as we are trying to achieve to make the entire investment experience digital in itself.
Got it. Uddhav, your take on pressing issues facing this?
So we are in the retail real estate space, and which is badly affected due to COVID. So I'd like to state two. First is the financial health of all the retailers and the restaurateurs. So because if the retail, it doesn't work with only 3-4 large boxes. It works with the multiple small retailers, which make it successful. Now, with most of them being financially sick, the whole sector is looking at who are the tenants going to be eventually if these guys are financially sick. The second, of course, is financing. The banks are not lending to retail real estate, and it's a big challenge. So that's a big challenge for us, because even for existing malls, they don't want to support them, and for new developments also, bankers aren't coming ahead for retail real estate.
Got it. Vinita, let me start the next question with you. Last year was very tough for all of us. Then towards the end of the year, we saw things improving. Early this year, again, things improved. But again, March, April, things have gone wrong again. You play across various asset classes, very large in residential, especially in Mumbai. What's some of those new revenue generation models which you are seeing, which is an opportunity for close to Sapna was telling me nearly 1,500 people have dialed in to listen to this. What are those new revenue generation which Rustomji is focusing on, or which is available in the market today?
So I think we've been a residential company primarily, and we had a large portfolio of luxury with us, and that's worked for us, and that really sold very well in the last 6 to 8 months as far as we're concerned. I think revenue generating models or asset creation models coming in by way of, we have the best of the best right now with us on the panel. Sudarshan is someone that has really done it and changed the way things work. So that is a kind of new area of income generating assets or fractional ownership, which is coming in a very large way for interest in real estate. And I think the interest that the sector has picked up after the REITs is increasing. And I'm sure that's something that we as a group will also follow in times to come.
Anshul, you want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. See, our sector is very different from most people on the panel. We are a very B2B business. We don't sell to any B2C players. Our customers like Amazon, Flipkart, etc. Then they service B2C companies. For us, revenue generation is only one number, which is rent. That's the only number that gives us revenue. Luckily, in COVID, the warehousing demand is only gotten stronger. Online shopping has gone over the roof. I'll just give you one example. We were leasing a space in Bhiwandi to a customer for 3 lakh square feet. The same customer then came back with 5 lakh square feet. The same customer 2 months later came back with 700,000. And now the final lease that we are hoping to close soon is 1 million square feet single box, right? Same customer in a 6 months period. So that's how things are changing. Our park is 2.6 million. We have a demand of 5.5 million. One thing that we are doing differently as a company is, even though we are a fund where we have our own capital, where we are developing about 7 to 8 parks, we are very selectively doing something called as development management in warehousing. So basically, if you are a matured business house which owns land, not a landowner, but a business house which owns land, then we will come in and do all the work, right? So we will come in and do the conversion, the approvals, we'll find the customer, we'll build the warehouse and lease it. Obviously, before doing that, we evaluate the feasibility of the land. But and we're about to sign a couple of projects in that format as well. So that's a new thing that we're adding to the industry in terms of revenue generation. The other new thing that we've done is, in terms of revenue generation, is we've raised India's first domestic fund. It's India's first domestic AIF for warehousing. And we are almost in final stages of now very soon closing the fund. It was a 500 crore fund and we are nearly there. So these are the 2-3 things, we're seeing large, just to summarize, we're seeing larger boxes in terms of format sizes. We've started a development management play on the side in non-conflicting markets. And of course, the third thing is, we've raised India's first fund in terms of warehousing.
Sudarshan, you want to add to that?
Yeah, so as we are an investment management company, right? So our first focus as a company is to generate revenues for our investors. We know our investors have limited money and it's critical that we maximize for them. We've seen, at least what we are trying to establish is that every year, close to $10 to $15 billion gets invested in residential as an investment and not as end use, which ideally gets them about 1%, 2%, 3% at max return. So, when we can create a platform and get them opportunities which can generate 2x, 3 times the kind of residential returns they could generate, I think that is the great alternative investment revenue which we are able to create. Stable, long-term, phenomenal opportunity for investors to participate and own these great opportunities. So that's what we are working on.
Uddhav?
So on the retail part, what we are doing, and like all mall developers, is focusing more on other revenue streams other than the typical rental. So we're like tying up with a go-karting player. We're doing outdoor entertainment, outdoor sports. We're creating more open spaces for restaurants so that we can, those are things people are comfortable with right now. And on the typical real estate side, I think what we started doing is we work mostly in the smaller towns. So we started targeting not only the particular city, but closer by catchment and making it fully furnished small units. And they started selling really well. So we started calling it Soho and that concept, and that has sold quite well.
Great, Ram.
So as we're in the luxury residential space, that has actually done really well in the last year or two, with all the effects that everyone's aware of. Although creating revenue generation streams, we have started 2 or 3 different models, backward integrating within our own firm, built to suit homes for our luxury buyers. We've got our verticals from our interior design teams to our
Ram, not able to hear you.
Which backward integrates and eventually creates more revenue for us. And DM is another model that we've entered, where we do build to suit for our buyers, for some of our clients, and we do an entire DM model, start to finish with execution.
Got it. Ram, next question, Uddhav, let me start with you. How is customer relationships change? Your customers are retailers, and last year between April and May, there was so much of confusion around force majeure and all those issues. Has it changed this year, or again are retailers coming back, or are there set models to handle that? How is customer relationships working? How have you structured that?
Yeah, so what we've done is we've moved to a complete revenue share. Thankfully, our malls are just about to open. We're just handing over fit outs for the development. But we've gone out on our own and reached out to the retailers. And for the first 12 months, we've done pure revenue share from our side. Because to bring them comfort, otherwise, if we don't do that, they probably won't take possession. They'll keep holding back because they don't know, they're not sure when the third wave will hit or what's going to happen to their business if they do take possession. So we've made it pure rev share for the first 12 months, and subsequently the MG will kick in. So that's one thing we've done, and I think people are getting comfort. And in fact, not a single retailer has backed out from our development.
Fantastic. Vinit?
So I think the last 1.5 years has really been towards caring for people. I think this pandemic has brought people together, and it's very important that you're there for your people when it's in the most testing times. So I think we have our own property management services, and that is something that really worked with us and all our societies throughout lockdown, because we ensured that every resident in our gated community, and we've always been someone who has given more than what we've imagined in a property, because we believe in creating communities, and we just don't give standalone buildings. I don't think we've ever given a building which is 4 walls and a room. I don't think that's something that any of our directors or our promoters can actually think of, because we always imagine building a home to live in. So that has worked very well, and caring for our customers and being there when they need it the most. I remember that our property management service team literally went and delivered medicines to senior citizens in homes because their kids were somewhere else and they were staying all alone. So that's really changed the way we are, and we've always been there to give something more to our customers. So standing there and customers in times of need is what is something that we always do and we believe in, and that's something that we're constantly building on with our property management service team.
Very nice. Anshul?
I think I already answered the question. Unless there was another question, I couldn't hear something in the middle.
Customer
I lost
relations.
the connection.
How has customer relations changed for you in the last few months?
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I completely missed the question. So Ramesh, for us, customer relationship has become harder because, because of the lack of physical meetings and contacts. We are in a very physical business because, you're buying land, you're building. We do buying land. It's obviously becoming challenging, even more so so we're from site visits now. Even when you bought the land, to show customers the land and to close leases is becoming a massive challenge. So we've actually started, doing a lot. We've started using drones quite a lot.
Anshul, your signal.
Which means what we're doing is we're doing drone site visits for all our lands, much more detailed than we did in the past. So we've actually got a pan India setup now, where if we like an identified site.
Anshul,
yeah, sorry, I'm in a remote location, Ramesh. I'm just turning my video off.
I think that.
So the site visits with the customers have been a challenge. The relationship heavily on drones, online media, continuous touch points with our customers. And whenever, please skip me for this answer. I'm just a summit.
Still weak. Anshul, we'll come back to you. Ram, you want to?
Sure.
You want to take that, Ram?
Yeah, sure. So customer relations in all our sectors, I think, is one of the most important parts of our business. It's very important for us to have customers that come back to you, because it's always these customers who upgrade. It's word of mouth is one of the biggest and most important parts of real estate. How much of marketing you may do, at the end of it, it's the word of mouth that actually makes your buyers come back to you and to create more buyers for you. So we believe it's very, very important. We keep a direct touch with all our existing and our previous buyers, from creating things like vaccination drives for them during this time, for going up to them, making sure everything is okay, and giving them time-to-time updates of our existing projects, because everyone's worried, right? Is my investment secure? Is the site secure? Is anything happened? So just being in touch with them and making sure things are on track is what is very, very important for this stage.
Uddam, let me ask the next question to you. So, last 15 months, not at all been easy. Demand across asset classes. Anshul spoke about, except maybe Anshul's asset class, warehousing, thanks to the e-commerce boom which is happening.
Right.
Residential was tough, retail was tough, office was tough, hotels was tough. So most asset classes, it's been quite tough. What's those one or two lessons which you've learned in the last 15 months, which the audience of this panel can take home?
Yeah, I think what differentiates a good developer from another one is who delivers, right? So despite the challenges, if you can deliver on time, that's what customers they will stay with you forever. So whether you need to have a plan B or a plan C, but you still need to deliver on time, and that's what our focus has been. That despite both the waves, all our projects are on time, and we are continuing to deliver on time. The other thing I've learned, which I must say that learning is during this period, is effective communication and regular communication with your customers at all times, and sometimes to the extent of being personalized, which was never happening earlier. So we're probably doing personalized communication with our customers, like Ram said, ensuring, informing them about their investment, their future prospects, everything, so that they're on board with you all through the time, the tough period.
Ram, for you, two big lessons of the last 15 months?
So, personally also, one, change is the only constant. Never take anything for granted. We're gonna keep, so every few months there might be a new wave. There might be things that are completely unexpected. So one, definitely do not over leverage. Advice to everyone: do what you can do and always deliver, because that's all that matters.
Sudarshan?
Well, I can speak from an investment standpoint. So, I mean, investors in India have been looking for a good alternative investment opportunity in general. There are very hardly any options for especially the upper middle class and the HNI segment. Well, ultra HNIs have all the options in front of them, and obviously hundreds of wealth advisors chasing them at the same time. So tapping into this segment, which especially what we are targeting, I believe is going to be unlocking the biggest opportunity India has to see. So that's one big lesson which we've seen with the early success, which we've seen from a platform standpoint. Another point, I think lack of data knowledge has been one of the major roadblocks for real estate in general. So as and when transparency keeps increasing in this sector, investor confidence will keep going up, something which we have seen, as early signs from our business standpoint.
Very nice. Vinita?
I think in the last 15 months, what we've really realized is that brand value really counts, and standing for your people really counts in all times. So I think building your brand delivery and standing for your people, your customers, including your employees, internal and external, those are the three things that we've really learned and grown, and actually further grown in the last 15 months for all of us. So that's one thing.
Anshu?
Yeah, I hope you can hear me now, Ramesh.
Slightly better.
Okay, I will talk softly and loudly and slowly. So basically, you know, one of the biggest lessons we learned, and I kind of agree with what Benita said, is the importance of, you know, now it's become a punchline now, but the importance of ESG. You know, everything that you do around you, if it's not sustainable, if your governance is not tight, and governance, you know, is basically like, you know, brushing your teeth, because if you don't brush your teeth every day, you will develop cavities, and the same thing will happen to your business, right? So the importance of governance has become more so in a remote working environment. These are the two big things, and the third biggest lesson we've learned is actually digitization. Digitize as much as you can, right? So anything that you can take online, digital, seamless, paperless, all those good fancy words we used to hear as kids growing up. I mean, that's all really important now, because otherwise you can't get anything done. So it's a fantastic change in a way. So many things have happened for the good. Like, I mean, just look at us now. We're having this discussion from fairly remote locations, wherever we are. And, you know, there are 1,500 people, you know, so there's three big lessons from me there.
Got it, Anshul. I think our line is gone again. I'll start with the next question for Uddhav again. There's a lot of youngsters straight out of college who have for this. What's that one advice you would give them for youngsters who aspire to be in our sector?
So I think have a large vision. Don't think small, and then of course, and this is general I'm saying, okay, and then put a plan to to achieve your goal. Of course, there will be multiple challenges, and that's the journey of an entrepreneur. So that that you're going to enjoy that in the end. And if you're in the real estate space, or you're a young developer, the only thing you need to focus on is delivery. If you deliver on time in India, that's what's lacking. Developers are not delivering on time. So if we have young developers, just focus on delivering on time.
Ram?
So a mixture of a lot of things. The advice, one, you got to love what you do. Passion is the most important part of our industry. It's not an easy industry. And the only way to live through all its ups and downs is to really love it. And everything else, of course, what Anshul added on, you got to deliver, you got to be committed. And so, yeah.
Very nice. Benita?
So I would say that, like, just adding on to what Ram said, passion is the only thing that will drive you to get up every morning and be here. And you have to love what you do, and you have to believe in what you do. And you have to believe it to the extent that even if it's impossible, you will get it done. Because if you don't believe in that, believe me, you will not survive in this industry. This industry it's kind of a joke, but I think we're all crazy to really love this industry, because you have to get up to every morning. You really don't know which rule is going to change. You don't know which ILFS is going to happen, which pandemic is going to happen. So you have to be crazy enough to love what you do and get up every morning and be like, yes, I'm going to achieve it. So that.
Sudarshan?
Well, I'll break it into two parts. I think one, from a business standpoint, I think alternative investment is one sector which is set to explode. It's high time we should hit it before the big boys enter and eat the market. I think it's high time we pick it, use technology and leverage and garner as much as market share. But on the second point, what Anshul mentioned, digitization is very critical. So technology implementation should be the core to any offering which you're trying to get into, and is perhaps the only or the most key element, which is required for you to scale your business in general.
Anshul, you want to take that? One advice for youngsters?
I'm still 38, Ramesh. So I think most people, I don't know if I'm yet qualified to give advice to youngsters, but if I would give one advice to anyone is just take one day at a time in life, right? Just when you start thinking of the problem as a whole, it's very complicated. But when you just break it down in smaller parts and start solving one part at a time, it starts becoming easy. And starting a business is not easy. Running a business in today's age is really, really full of anxiety and full of uncertainty, and it's very lonely because you're sitting in front of a computer screen and talking to yourself all day. So it's just one day at a time. That's my advice.
Ram, let me ask the next question to you. Anshul earlier spoke about how he's using drones, given that travel is restricted, and he's picking up a lot of land across the country. Can you name just one digital initiative you have taken in the last few months for our audience?
So we, being in the luxury space, usually we never landed up doing things like your digital walkthroughs. We never landed up doing it because we never felt the need for it. But since this whole pandemic in the last 15 months, we actually launched a project completely online. The entire launch was online. We did an entire video walkthrough with an entire interactive experience where somebody could be sitting anywhere in the world and actually get an experience of which angle, what the whole experience would give you in your apartment. So that was one of the major initiatives shifts that we made for our launches.
Very nice. Uddhav?
So very similar to what Anshul said, we started virtual site visits for all our customers. Even people who were tenants or small investors. So we would train our of course, our sales team or the CRM team, and they would physically take them on the site on a particular unit, and with a camera or some sort of technology device, show them their unit and run them through what exactly is happening on site, which really give them comfort. Of course, we're trying to digitize everything, like Anshul said. We're now focusing on whatever we can digitize. That's the key word for us as well.
So Darshan, yours is anyway a digital business. What's that one thing you would have done extra in the last few months?
Well, I remember one of your polls, Ramesh, where you had said that would you buy or would you invest digitally, back in the core period of the pandemic. We were rooting that people's percentage would be very high for that matter. But, end to end, whatever we've done has been digital, whether it's KYC or investing or reporting or tracking their end receipts or whatever it is for that matter, has been, one thing which the digital initiative of what we've done is we've brought a huge customer behavior, which was skewed towards traditional approach of investing, like signing multiple documents, etc., standing at the registrar office for an hour or whatever. So this has led to one big change in customer behavior, one accepting digital real estate itself, but more importantly, what real estate, which has been a very traditional, or I would say a local or a regional business, we're now trying to make it through digital or what the platform itself is general to be a very national and a global business. So getting access through a digital platform is one of the biggest change, our platform is trying to do. But like you mentioned, entire platform is digital. So net, this is what we've done.
Anshul, anything other than drones you've done?
Differently over the we launched India's first warehousing partner portal, where the typical, Ramesh, you've been an industrial guy. I mean, you've taught me a lot of the things I know. So our industry is very fragmented when it comes to brokers and partners, especially warehousing, because they were like 4 years ago we were like selling godowns for $12 a square foot, right? So there wasn't any meat in it. Today the same guys are going at $30. So we wanted to be the first one to introduce transparency into the system. So we've actually launched a pretty serious portal which has a full Zoho backend, which gives each partner a dashboard, a login ID and a password. So if you want to send us a land inquiry or a lease inquiry, you can do that without calling anyone from the company. So it's become contactless. It's become easy. You can do it from your phone. So that's one thing that we've done, and we've seen a very good response. We've had more than 2,000 registrations since we started it, which is about a few months ago.
Vinita?
So I think our organization has been like a little ahead of times is something I always believed in, because I still remember the day that we had our first Bhumi Pujan. I was like a really small kid at site. I still remember the enthusiasm that we had, because in 1996 in Borivali, we were delivering video door phones for a home which was like $1,600 per square foot. And I think that's something that we've carried over the years. So 5 years back, we moved, actually not 5, almost in 2010, we moved into SAP. And our organization has been digital for a fairly long amount of time. Like we are absolutely on a cloud system. So on the first day of lockdown, our entire team was already working. So right from billing to architecture to finance to accounts, we had everyone online over there. And in lockdown, we've gone ahead and become a BIM compliant company. One of the second companies or the first companies who are going to be coming out with BIM for construction across all our designs, including where we're helping our architects who work with us to kind of become BIM compliant. So everything that we do, right from modeling to estimation to delivery, is going to be onto BIM. And like everyone has done, we've moved on to the Zoom platforms, we've done webinars, we've done virtual site visits, we're kind of creating 3D walkthroughs, and we've had that on our site. So I think technology is something that's very, very close to all of us in this organization. And we've always invested in it because it really gives you the returns in the long run. And that's something we really saw in this pandemic, because no one was on downtime since day one, and all our data were on servers. So no matter where we were, we could work out of our phones. So I think that's something that we've done as an organization.
Very nice, Benita. All of us have kind of last 15 months, we've all been trying to lead without a map. And all we know is we don't know enough what's going to be tomorrow, how tomorrow is going to be like. Anshu, let me start with you. What's that one thing you've kind of, on your leadership style, you've kind of self-reflected, kind of tried to change in the last 1 year or so?
That's a very simple one for me, Ramesh. Empathy and a lot of it, right? So I think that's, you know, I don't think I was as empathetic as I should have been as a leader, all my previous avatars, and I think more so in the pandemic. People are fairly vulnerable, and you need to understand that and make them feel that that's okay, and we are all in the same boat. And just focusing a lot more in your internal team than your customers and your contractors and your investors. I think just putting in a lot more time with your team has been a big change in my leadership style. Back in the day, I used to probably spend more time outside and less time inside. Now I'm spending more time inside, and I think that's automatically making them more empowered, because I'm just doing less with market and more with insight. So that's been, so if I combine it all in one, a lot of empathy, a lot more empowerment internally, and just allowing people to feel vulnerable and saying, hey, that's okay. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. I'm with you. Let's move on. So it's more on a people side.
Very nice. Benita?
I think communication largely, because this pandemic has been about, learning to communicate in a new way. I think we've been all forced to realign the way we care for our people, be there, communicate with them, in not being in person with them, because it makes a real big difference when you're with your team in person, vis-a-vis not. So I think communication. The second thing that's changed is, I think, a lot of patience. You need to have a lot of patience to kind of, grow and shape your team. You have to allow them to make mistakes. You have to allow them to go ahead and learn their own ways to lead. But I think these are two things that's really changed in the way I lead my team today.
Very nice. Sudha?
Yeah, I think a mix of both what both Anshul and Benita said. Of course, empathy. I've changed. I think I've changed as a person in the last 15 months, the way I deal with people. And second is communication. Effective communication, comforting your people, and communication down the line. Probably earlier I would deal with a handful of people in the organization. Now I'm communicating across the line, across the board, giving them comfort, and that's inspiring them, I would say, to a great extent. They're performing really well.
Very nice. Ram? Ram, are you on mute? Not able to hear you, Ram. Sudarshan?
Well, Ramesh, I think Anshul, Uddhav, and Benita have answered all, pretty much what we've done. But one thing I would add on to another point, what Benita mentioned earlier, you need to be passionate and mad about what you're solving for. Luckily, our entire management is pretty crazy and mad about what we are wanting to solve. We know there's a huge white space, and we're very motivated to organize this space in a large way. So I could say we are a team of leaders who are learning from each other and taking everyone's back when required.
Got it. Ram?
So I think a lot of changes. I think mentally and emotionally, we all have evolved a lot over the last year or so. I feel I've become a much more patient person. I was, I think, not as patient as I have been now. After this whole year, I think has taught me a lot how to be calmer in life. So I believe that leadership style has become calmer than what it used to be.
Very nice. I'll come to the last question before we move to the audience questions. What's that? None of us want a third wave. But there are other countries who are already showing signs. The way our streets are filling up over the last 2 weeks, I don't think it'll be surprising if we have a third wave. And rural, there's still so much of information, still not exact information coming from what's happening in the rural areas. So, what is that one thing, Binita, you are doing today in case a third wave comes? So, we never expected a second wave. We knew maybe there's a chance, but we had forgotten about it between Jan and March. Now all we're
I
talking
agree.
of is a third wave. So maybe it won't happen, but better to be prepared. So what's that one thing you're doing to prepare?
So I'll just take a little more and I'll share what I did. So I think medical facilities and being there for people is something very close to me personally. So when the second wave started, me and my friends got together and we created this community called India Shield. It's a community of 400 volunteers which works on providing medical care and supply to people across the country, medicines, beds, oxygen concentrators, just doing up hospitals, vaccination. We've done the works across in the last 2 months, and we've reached out to more than 48,000 patients. And this is something I've done personally with my friends and non-real estate friends, which we've done. But I think as an organization, that's something, and that's the DNA that has been built in me ever since, I've been groomed in this organization, and I've seen this like since the day it started, that you have to be there for people wave after wave. You have to be prepared for uncertainty. And towards that, I think what we've done as an organization is we've got our tie-ups in place in terms of, ensuring we have care centers for our employees and extended employees. Because in Bombay, it's not possible that someone who's affected is able to get the right quarantine facilities under homestay because their homes are small. So we've actually gone ahead and created care centers. We've created anyways a COVID center in our schools, and we're actually facilitating and helping moving our own employees into these care centers so that their families are not affected. Secondly, I think to get back to office is important for all of us. But at the same point in time, having the third wave in mind, we're very, very mindful in having a roster, and we're kind of spacing it out so that we don't have too many people in office at the same point in time and productivity doesn't fall. So couple of things here and there, vaccinating our people, caring for them, keeping regular checks, and creating quarantine centers for someone who gets it. And also as a group, we are very proactive in terms of healthcare and ensuring our people are taken care of. So I'll just give you one thing. One of our employees was in a remote village and he needed hospitalization. We literally used all we could to ensure that in a place like Hubli, he gets his hospitalization and he gets it done and he's taken care of. So these are the things. We built champions of each sector in terms of taking care of the person, ensuring medical beds are available, medicines are available round the clock for our employees. So those are the things that we've done to take care of our people. And this is the new normal. I don't think this is going to change. There can be multiple pandemics, there can be multiple things. We have to get through it in all times. So we have to do everything that we need to do to ride this wave and come to the other side of it. So that's all we can do. And that's the spirit that we have to get through it no matter what.
Very nice. Anshul, you want to add before I go to the audience for their questions?
So, I mean, here's something that I would actually like to give credit to, being a part of a group like Wellspun, which has, more than 26,000 employees, and if 3 family members each, that's like 70,000 people literally affected directly with, people that we touch base with. And I don't think there's anything more that the group could have done, from building complete hospitals to, setting up internal war rooms. Our own team became like a family. So we actually had a couple of our colleagues which were very, very critical, and how they all came together to solve the problem and actually get them back on their feet. They cared more than the family, because the families were all affected too. So, with all the experiences we had, I think we got run in system of dealing with the pandemic. Now the protocols are set, right? Which weren't set before, because it was, as you said, leading without a map. And I think now people are just better prepared that if a third wave does come, we know exactly what to do. We know exactly when to cut off. And of course, what Binita said, I completely agree with. The rosters, getting people in, not too many people at a time, ensuring hygiene, vaccination. So we vaccinated close to 19,000 people, which are already done. A lot of people are double vaccinated. We had drives internally, and all our construction sites and were also vaccinated. So I mean, we're doing everything we can in our power to try and avoid any of our direct, the families to fall sick or get affected. And if they do fall sick, we have enough, firepower to try and fix that.
Sapna, can we move to the audience questions? How do you want to do that?
Yes, one question that we have is for you, Mr. Nair. They ask that you yourself have been one of the youngest leaders, at your time, leading JLL. And now you have spoken to a lot of young leaders now, and so what is your observation? How the Indian real estate leadership has changed or has evolved over the years?
I think a lot more professionals are coming. Someone like Anshul today, who works for a family business, who is a total professional from outside. Binita works in a family business, but she's more professional than even family people. So I think that's a big change we've seen in the sector. A lot more transparency, Sapna, from where we started off a few years back. Today, look at Anshul today. He is able to raise funding. Look at Binita, they've just gone ahead and tied up with Keppel, all that FDI coming in, lot more transparency. Previously, this discussion 10 years back would have been more around cash and how do we make it more transparent. I think a lot more people today want to join the real estate sector than ever before. Today in campuses, when we go to campuses, when we first started going to campuses in 2003-4, there was hardly any interest to join the industry. Today, big companies are able to get day zero, day one in these MBA campuses, and people want to come and join the real estate sector. So I think it's those are some of the things which come to my mind.
What do you have to say about the new generation of leaders that we have? Yeah.
I think a lot more smarter than the older generation. The ability to think fast, the ability to take fast decisions, the ability to take risks, I think is a lot better than before. And that hunger of wanting to kind of answers I heard today, straight from empathy to communication to, I don't think I would have heard that 10 years back. So I think the industry is in safe hands, and we'll be a lot better industry going forward.
Okay, so another very interesting question is, what is the definition of success for our leaders now? So I think I'll open it to all the speakers. Probably Anshul, if you can go first. According to you, what is your definition of success, business success?
Well, at one point, my definition of success was to afford a car, right? And which used to be a Honda City. So that used to be my definition of success. That's clearly changed. I think it changes, right? Your definition of success every year changes. And I think what's success to me is a happy family, a healthy family. More than anything, money comes, money goes. Your fame comes, fame goes. That's all temporary. But I think as long as you're healthy, happy, you are doing the work that you love to do every day and spending time with people that you love to spend time with. That means quality people. So I always believe to hire people smarter than yourself. And I've always tried to follow that. So every team member of mine, I can tell you, is much smarter than I am. The idea is there. I think Dr. Hiranandani has joined the call. We should definitely ask him.
He should be the one to give
success.
this. Yeah.
He should be. He'll be. Niranjan Bhai, hello. How are you? He should
Hi, how are you?
And he's the youngest leader I know of. He has a heart which is younger than all of us. So I think he's
Mr.
the one who
you have joined at just the right time. You are in the midst of all the young guys, and you are about to speak on Youth the Future.
On what?
On Youth the Future. That is the topic for your fireside chat.
That's right. That's the next one. Yeah, sorry. Yes. Did I come too early?
No, you're come at the right time. We actually want to know, what is your definition of success?
Success.
Yes.
Success is about how you aspire and how you meet that destination. But the destination is ideal in your mind. It has nothing to do with real success. So when I started life, I did 7,000 square feet of extension of a building. And when I completed it, Mr. Nair, I thought I was the most successful person in my life, starting as a chartered accountant and trying to get an extension of a building. And now when I do 5 buildings, I don't think it is a success. So I think success and failure is more about what is there in your mind and about your expectations or people's expectations out of you. So it's unfortunate that success and failure is a definition which you cannot meet, So when Narendra Modi became the prime minister, he was so delighted and he thought that this 5 years is sufficient. And now I don't think 15 years will be sufficient for him. So his success is really going to be a question. So I don't think success is not a destination. It is a process, and it is life itself. So you continue to create so-called successes and failures of what you really need to do. But the fun of the whole thing is that you should get a joy not in success, because then, as I read somewhere, there was a guy who kept on working and he said, I want to reach Mount Everest. The only time he was happy was when he reached Mount Everest. And the time he spent on Mount Everest was only an hour or so in his whole thing. And he had spent 5 years preparing for it. So if he didn't get joy in the process of working towards going to the Mount Everest, his joy was limited to 1 hour. But if he enjoyed the process of the exercise, getting fit, working on it, trial, the camps, etc., and then reaching it, then the destination is just a part of that process or the whole thing. So you should get joy, as I do, through the whole life of actually all the time you enjoy it rather than just the success. So the problem is we enjoy only the destination. We should actually enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Very well.
Very well.
Yeah.
So,
See, Ramesh, any of us could not have answered it that way.
Yeah, we could not have made so much of
Yeah,
justice
we could
to
not
that
have even
answer,
tried.
for sure.
So that's the difference between the youngs and the experienced. I would not like to say old, because Niranjan Bhai is younger than all of us. So, the youngs and the
Absolutely.
experienced. Yeah.
I'll take the next few minutes to kind of summarize my key takeaways. Lots of learnings from the panelists. On pressing issues, we spoke about steel price increasing for sectors like warehousing. That's 75% of the overall construction cost is steel price. Delay in timelines, no improvement after that. Ability to react and be agile, that's a pressing issue. 22 NOCs still a challenge. GST is a challenge. Educating investors, Sudarshan spoke about that. Financing for retail real estate is still a challenge as per Uddhav. So revenue generation models, we spoke about aspects like fractional ownership, online shopping, helping the sector. It was very interesting to hear from Anshul that there's 5.5 million square feet demand for this 2.5 million square feet park. DM and warehousing, not so popular now, but Anshul has started that. Domestic AIF and warehousing is again the first to do that. Sudarshan spoke about how he's created this product which can give 3 times more returns than residential investment. Malls, great to hear various go-karting activities, outdoor open air restaurants. BTS homes, Ram, very nice to hear that. Not heard of that. BTS luxury homes and DM, which you've anyways been doing. On the customer relationships front, everything for the next 12 months is going to be revenue share. Uddhav mentioned that. Binita said lot more caring, given that they have an in-house property management team for residents, medicines for senior citizens, all that extra outreach activity she's been doing. About how because of physical interactions becoming less, lot more drones, site visits become more virtual. Ram spoke about how keeping in touch, more vaccination drives, more regular updates to their customers. On the key lessons from the last 15 months, delivery on time is something everybody wants. Uddhav mentioned that. Have a plan B and plan C for delivering on time. More personalized and regular communication is what the customers want. Ram spoke about how change is the only constant. Don't take anything for granted. Don't over leverage. Ram mentioned that. Binita said brand value is very important, and stand for your employees and customers during these challenging times. Importance of ESG and digitization. Anshul spoke about that. Advice to youngsters who have dialed in, have a large vision, don't think small. We have Mr. Hiranandani to prove that. Never think small, deliver on time. Love what you do. Be passionate about what you do. Passion again came from others. Believe in what you do. Use technology and digitize as much as possible. Take one day at a time. Anshul mentioned that. Digital initiatives, a lot of interesting aspects came. Everybody spoke about virtual site visits, digital walkthroughs. Everybody's gone online, a lot of interactive tools, KYC reporting, rent receipts, everything being digitized. Very interesting to hear Anshul speak about warehousing partner portal to totally increases transparency level. So partners have dashboards, land, leasing, everything as partners can kind of enter through that. Binita spoke about how Rustamji digitized way back in 2010, SAP, everything is on cloud today. It's probably going to be the first BIM compliant company in the country. Leadership changing, that's how they've changed their leadership styles, more empathy than ever before, more empowerment than ever before, more communication, more caring, more patience, more passionate, more mad than ever before. Sudarshan mentioned that, and more patient and being more calm. And last but not the least, Mr. Hiranandani's words, success is not a destination. So please enjoy the journey. With that, I'll hand it back to Sapna to wrap up the session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nair, for that wonderful moderation and getting the best views and best opinions from our young generation of real estate professionals. And thank you so much for your time. And thank you. But stay here. Anuj Puri has also joined us. So I'm going to ask the same question which I asked Mr. Ramesh Nair. Mr. Puri, how have you seen the leadership evolve, in your journey? How have you seen that?
Whatever
Yeah, I
Ramesh
wanna
said is
hear-
exactly the same.
No, I want to hear
What-
Anuj's answer to this.
Benita,
No, I want to hear Anuj's answer to this.
Anuj, you're not getting off this. We seldom get Anuj, Ramesh, and Niranjan Bhai on the same
So we have,
computer screen.
yeah.
I don't think we're going to hang
Benita,
up.
I'm with you.
I want to hear Anuj answer this, and I'm going to attend this session. Anuj, I definitely want to see you moderate. Something every time I see Anuj moderating, I learn something new just from the way he moderates. So this is something I'm never going to miss.
We are definitely
So
going
I know
to.
we have the best of the best. We have Niranjan sir, who's like the
So maybe
youngest
they want
person
to
in
hear
real
all the
estate.
good words about themselves. That's why.
Yeah, so we have Niranjan sir, who's the youngest in real estate, and I have Anuj, who I don't think ever ages. He's like always like he's like this. He's evergreen. He's like
extra
Anil
what?
Kapoor. He becomes younger each year.
Extra vodka shot tonight.
Anuj, your
Anuj, I
vodka
don't
will
want
be
to hear
like
your
10
answer.
ml. Your vodka shot will be 10 ml. I can vouch for that.
I'm sure that will be wine. There'll be no water also.
Benita, you to don't even say. You have to gone vegan. So
I think
Anuj,
this
I want to hear your answer.
concluding panel discussion was the most interesting one. We had some gate crashers, but they added to the entire session. So fantastic! Thank you so much, everyone, for being